Hey, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another video. This is another paid request, this time from Ben. Thank you so much for that. For those interested in requesting any other types of videos, topics, reactions, reviews, re-reviews, or anything in between, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this is for a commentary on the 1989 film Tango Cash. So let's get right into it. 3, 2, 1, pressing play. With the Warner Bros. Logo syncing. Wait for it. Okay, let's do it. I always thought that was kind of a weird but kind of fun little addition at the beginning. Just Stallone going, okay, let's do it. I don't know what the story is behind that because there's no features. Nothing on this film, and if half the stuff on Wikipedia and IMDb and trivia is real, this would be a fascinating documentary, because apparently in the making of the film was a big clusterfuck. And it's strange because despite all that, I love this movie. This is one of my favorite Stallone films. It's one of my favorite buddy cop films. I absolutely love this movie. It's fun, it's entertaining, it's funny, it's action-packed. I love the score by Harold Faltermeyer. This is definitely a take on Police Story, the Jackie Chan film, because Stallone still is a Jackie Chan fan. Because of Police Story, there's the bit where Jackie Chan, he doesn't shoot, he shoots up top, and the bus stops and people go through the windshield. Here it's a semi, and Stallone is actually shooting the vehicle. But it's a great way to, I mean, by this point, not many people knew about Jackie Chan and Police Story, so it's interesting to see Stallone do a nod to it and do his own take on it. But this one, it'd be interesting to see a commentary, documentary, because apparently this film was rewritten and rewritten again, and there was a director, then he got fired, then there was another director, and then Stallone did some stuff, and then like there was a director, Andrei Konchalovsky, and then he got fired, and then there was talks of Peter MacDonald, who worked on Rambo 3 the year before. Then there's a guy named Magnoli, who did the Prince movie Purple Rain, I believe, and worked on Street Nine with Jeff Speakman, and he filmed stuff, I think, in the finale. In Jackie Chan's Police Story, he didn't shoot the vehicle, but here, I always thought this was such a cool, badass way to establish your character, Ray Tango. Stay in front of the road, shooting, not flinching, and then boom, these guys go through the windshield. Good stunt people. And one of them is actually Robert Zadar, who we will see later. Rest in peace, Robert Zadar. Fuck you. I prefer blondes. And Robert Zadar, he would be the lead villain in the Maniac Cop films. He was known as, I think his nickname was The Face, because he had that certain face that mainly worked in villainous roles. He was also in Samurai Cop. Apparently, with Andrei Konchalovsky, who I believe did Runaway Train, which got a lot of good critical notices, had John Voight, Eric Roberts, and he and Stallone wanted to make a more serious film, but then the producers, Jon Peters, Peter Guber, they wanted a more fun movie. Before we go on, like, this is Jeffrey Lewis here on the left. Jeffrey Lewis, he worked with Clint Eastwood in Every Which Way But Loose and Any Which Way You Can. He was Uncle Frank in the Jean-Claude Van Damme film Double Impact. This guy always looked like if it was Kurt Russell's brother. Badge, I want your weapon, I want your ass, who the fuck do you think you are? It's a very meta moment that they mention Rambo and then going, Rambo is a pussy. It's a very weird meta thing, like, Rambo is a pussy. Well, you know it's snowing. And I remember reading somewhere that this was not the original opening, that they had a different opening, which might be what was in the trailer. If you watch the trailer, there's a bit where he's reading a newspaper. He's like, easy come, easy go. And then he gets a shotgun and he's firing it out the window. And that might be the original opening. See the trailer. Again, you see Stallone with his glasses, shotgun, firing through the window, and again with the newspaper, easy come, easy go. Maybe that was the original opening, and then this, I don't know, maybe Stallone thought of the idea because he's a Jackie Chan fan. I don't know. I mean, J Palance, the villain here, talking to James Hahn, which is fun. James Hahn he was Lo Pan, the villain, Big Trouble in Little China. He was been a lot of stuff. But the other, J Palance, the main villain, it's funny, on Jay Leno, I think the 1989 Jay Leno, it's up on YouTube. J Palance is talking about how, not sure if I like making the film. Because apparently in the original script, like, he had scenes with Stallone. And those were cut out, or they were changed, I guess, in script-wise. I don't know if they were filmed. No, they were never filmed because J Palance mentioned, oh, he did the film, the work with Stallone, and in the script he had a couple scenes. Never happened in the movie. Which is true, they never share the same screen, even when they're supposed to. J Palance, he's got the gun on the girl, but they never share them, and Stallone and Caruso are never in the same scene together. So again, apparently in the original script, there were scenes with Stallone and probably Caruso and J Palance together. He mentioned like 2 or 3 scenes, and then that never happened. And I guess this opening was probably changed as well, because in the trailer there's a scene where it leads to a movie theater, or it looked like a movie theater, or something. And then Caruso says, I hate you karate guys. But then you have this scene, which is a bit... So I do wonder if that goes... Again, people say the original director and Stallone wanted a more serious movie, and then the producers, other people wanted a bigger, more crazy fun movie. And if that's the case, I like the movie we got. And it's balls to wall, pure 80s style. And it's big. Like, both of these scenes are pretty big. And in the beginning, this bit here with the truck and smashing up the vehicles, big car chase. It's a great way to open your film, do your adrenaline pumping. And the fact that you got these two guys, Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell, you got John Rambo, and you got Snake Plissken together. Now, for what I hear, originally it's supposed to be Patrick Swayze and Sylvester Stallone, but then, ooh, titties. Yeah, I mean, there's a part of me that would be curious to see the original version. But at the same time, there's a part of me that thinks I actually would prefer this more crazy, entertaining, off-the-wall version. It's fun. It's exciting. And sad to say, I kind of get what the producers are saying. Like, look at all this cool stuff. Like, to go through all these lights, break every single one of these lights, and that's a very cool visual bit to add to the car chase. And Harold Faltermeyer's score. Harold Faltermeyer, of course, did Beverly Hills Cop and Fletch. I think his score is fantastic. Again, and you watch the trailer, there's a whole bit with, I think it's like a movie theater. Perestroika, welcome to America. I mean, this may be my favorite buddy cop film, because I just find it so insanely entertaining, and I'm a big Sylvester Stallone and a big Caruso fan, and to see the two of them together, I think it's fantastic. And it's just so big, it's so fun, it's so entertaining and funny. It's just a load of fun. And I say that because, I say maybe because I've said it's #1 throughout the years, like on my list. But then I'm like, well, I do love I Come in Peace. And technically that's a buddy cop film. And I love that film because it's sci-fi horror mixed in with the buddy cop formula. So maybe technically that'd be my favorite buddy cop film. But if you're talking about strictly action, buddy cop, it would be Tango Cash. I like Lethal Weapon a lot. I like Bad Boys too. But this one, again, I'm a big Stallone fan despite my thoughts on him in the past 10 years because I think his movies have gone downhill. I'm sorry, I do. While this, it was cool to see Sylvester Stallone play a very different kind of role. This very like uptight, dressed as a banker. The way he talked in the Teri Hatcher. Teri Hatcher, of course, would be in the TV show Lois and Clark. I think it's a very different role. It's not Rambo. It's not Rocky. It's not John Spartan. The T word. Good. You tell me be this good girl because you know that you'll be bad. He's having a lot of fun with this role. He's very entertaining. It showed Stallone, when you watch interviews, he's got a great sense of humor. He's very funny. And honestly, I think this better showcases his humor than the comedies he did. And I liked Oscar. Stop and Remember Will Shoot, it's fun for what it is. It's not one of my favorites, but I can laugh at it both. But I think this better showcases his humor. And again, you just also like the way the difference between the two, the way Ray Tango and very prim, proper, nicely set offices, and this seems like the more down and dirty, and Caruso's the more wisecracker attitude. And lo and behold, two white guys, which, what was it Joel Silver said you can't do in Bullet in the Head? That's why they fired Thomas Jane, because we need an ethnic guy. We can't have Thomas Jane. Oh yeah, then what the fuck is this movie? And this movie did well at the box office. It went over budget. It did extremely well on VHS. But, and this movie moves at a great pace. And the cast, I mean, Kurt Russell, by this point, he was trying to find success, and he did with Steve from New York, working with John Carpenter, because he was a Disney kid, and people would not take him seriously until Steve from New York came about. And then other people wanted Charles Bronson, but John Carpenter said, no, I want Kurt Russell, because I worked with him on Elvis the TV movie. I know he can do this. That was a hit. And then that led to films like Tequila Sunrise. I'm not a fan of Tequila Sunrise, but that did well at the box office. They said, wow, this guy's not box office poison. So then that led to cast him in this. I did originally as Patrick Swayze, I believe, but then they had Patrick Swayze did Roadhouse, I believe. I always thought this was, again, a very unique way of doing interrogation. I don't know. Wrong answer. Of course, now you can't do this because people would go into police brutality and, oh, he's just doing it because the guy's Asian. Like, they would look into all this stuff that's not the point, not there. It's English 101. He's saying that because he's a bad guy. And if it's a bad guy, you make fun of whatever you can. Because it's a bad guy. And this guy I recognize from other stuff. I'm trying to remember. I can't remember his name. I know I recognize him from other movies. But yeah, when the film came out, it came out like sadly a bad time. It was like December. I mean, technically, you could say this is the last film of the 1980s. Because this came out at the end of December, I believe. And in a weird way, that's kind of... I say bad because this is a summer film. This is a film that should have been in the summer, but because of all the problems, it got delayed, and then sadly, I think that hurt the box office a lot, because in December, people don't want to go out in the cold. Well, that's a lie, because Titanic made a shitload of money. But I don't know, just this screams a summer release, and it didn't get it. Here we got Brian James. Brian James, may rest in peace, great character actor. Yeah, he was in Blade Runner, 48 Hours, and another 40 Hours. He was in Southern Comfort as a Cajun. The Fifth Element. He was the killer in the horror show with Lance Henriksen. Good character actor, Brian James. And then, Jack Palance. Jack Palance, I mean, he did work for many years. He was in westerns like Shane. He won an Oscar for City Slickers with Billy Crystal, which I love, City Slickers. He was in Batman the same year as this, 1989. And then after this is when he did stuff like City Slickers. And then he did films like Cops and Robertsons, City Slickers 2. But yeah, it would have been cool to see him on screen with Sylvester Stallone. I will say in retrospect, that would have been really cool to see. If Jack Palance says that was in the original script, that would have been nice to see. That is, I'm not saying this is a 5 out of 5 star, but I have so much fun. This would be like a 4.5 out of 5 star movie. But yeah, Stallone with Jack Palance, that would have been nice to see them actually on screen together. And I like Jack Palance. Jack Palance just always had that way of talking. Quick to get easy. Is that how you run a multi-million-dollar business? On the east side. That's your part of the city. Gabriel Cash. And Rain Tango. He had a great way of speaking, and for what little screen time he has, he makes an impression, and just fun to watch. I could buy this as a criminal leader, criminal mastermind, and that's the thing. If you don't have much on the page, you better get someone that really takes what little bit and runs with it, and Jack Palance does. So it was always a pleasure to see him on screen. Cyborg 2 sucks, but it's not because of Jack Palance, who's in that movie. With a large spoon. Like, he can't save that movie, but I don't think he was phoning it in either. But yeah, I mean, the movie, it did decent at the box office. It made over 120 million worldwide. It did very well on VHS. And again, I think technically this is the last film in the 1980s, which is kind of ironic is not the right word I want to say, but it was kind of perfect. Like, this movie symbolizes the 1980s. You had a scene with titties, just to have titties. You have violence. You have over-the-top action, explosions, craziness, gun battles, fisticuffs. The variety of character actors. Two big, stars, in my opinion, that people like, yeah, that's cool. Stallone is cool. Kurt Russell's cool. And the music, Harold Faltermeyer, the way he did the score, that's very 80s in a good way, the score. Just, it's kind of poetic that this is the last film of the 1980s. And, the people make fun of the film all the time, which I don't agree with, and to be fair, it's their opinion. But there's that part of me is like, well, fuck you, if you don't like it. It's not fair to say that. But I'm like, what the fuck, man? I mean, 3 Razzie Awards for Worst Actor, Sylvester Stallone, Worst Supporting Actress, Kurt Russell and Drag, and Worst Screenplay. I don't see what worst screenplay. No, worst actor. How is Sylvester Stallone a bad actor in this? I don't understand that. But the Razzies always had that with Stallone in pretty much anything he did. In 2012, a podcast called The Flophouse said it's an enjoyably bad movie and the last film before irony was created. Well, the Flophouse fucked you and fucked your podcast. How about that? Movie's better than your fucking podcast. I don't even have to listen to it. I know that's not right or fair to say, but oh well, I'm not fair. What can I say? Fuck it. I love the chemistry between Stallone and Russell. I think they work excellent with each other. I think you have a lot of fun dialogue. Like when we get to the trial and they're talking back and forth. I'll bring the chainsaw. I'll bring the beer. And apparently they had a lot of fun with each other. I mean, Stallone wanted Russell for the Bruce Willis role in the Expendables, but Russell said no, which is too bad. And then they were both in Guardians of the Galaxy 2, but the fact that they were never on screen together fucking sucks. Although in the premiere of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think Russell was being interviewed, and then Stallone went by and said, hey, like, so you got a little bit of a Tango and Cash reunion there. But it did seem like these two really enjoyed working with each other. And again, these two were just fantastic. I mean, the fact these two got to be together in the film is pretty damn cool, and just makes it fun just to watch. Like, yeah, Russell with his laser sighting, big ass gun. Of course, them being framed. And that's the idea with the bad guys. Take the two big cops, frame them, put them in general population, and see what happens next. But yeah, while they get arrested, I guess is the time to, because I want to get to this before the trial, which there's a lot of fun stuff to that. Apparently, again, this is Wikipedia, doesn't mean it's absolute truth. Like I said, if half of this is even true, wow. The film was known as a setup and was based on a script by Randy Feldman and was based on an idea by Jon Peters and Peter Guber. Sylvester Stallone and Patrick Swayze were signed to star. It says in March of '89, Andrei Konchalovsky signed to direct. Then Swayze dropped out and went on to star in Roadhouse. He was replaced by Russell. Barry Sonnenfeld, the guy who would direct Men in Black and Addams Family, he was originally the director of photography, and apparently Stallone got him fired, and he didn't like what he was doing, and so Stallone got Donald E. Thorne, who had shot cinematography for Stallone's film Lock Up earlier in '89. After 3 months of filming, director Andrei Konchalovsky was fired by producer Jon Peters in a dispute over the movie's ending. Konchalovsky wrote a memoir, Elevating Deception, and he said that the reason he was fired was because he and Stallone wanted to give the film a more serious tone and make it more realistic than the producers wanted, especially Jon Peters, who kept pushing for the film to be goofier and campier, and as such, his relationship with Jon Peters became untenable. Another reason why Konchalovsky was fired was his refusal to agree to what he referred to as increasingly insane demands that Jon Peters had. He was initially hired to make a buddy cop movie with plenty of humor, but Peters basically wanted to turn it into a spoof without any semblance of seriousness, and Konchalovsky refused. Essentially, Konchalovsky argued that they were simply trying to make two different movies, and when Jon Peters realized his inability to bend the director to his will, he fired him. According to Brian James, the film was in disarray from the very beginning, and by the halfway point, when the film was several months behind schedule, Jon Peters and Konchalovsky were no longer speaking. Brian James agreed that the official reason Konchalovsky was fired was because of the budget, but he also said that going over budget was not the director's fault, and that the director did not deserve to be fired. The director had nothing but praise for Sylvester Stallone, and both he and Brian James said that despite Stallone's ego and decision to fire the original cinematographer, Stallone was the one person who held the project together, and that he was a constant voice of reason on an increasingly chaotic set. According to Konchalovsky, by the end of principal photography, Stallone was unofficially working as producer, director, and writer, as well as star, and Konchalovsky believes that had it not been for Stallone, Jon Peters would have fired him much sooner than he did. Production sources said that Konchalovsky had been given impossible scheduling demands and was then made the scapegoat when he fell behind. He was replaced by Albert Magnoli, who filmed all the chase and fight scenes in the ending. Reportedly, executive producer Peter MacDonald, who was also one of the film's second unit directors, took over direction of the movie before Albert Magnoli was brought in. MacDonald had to step in as director as Stallone fired Russell Mulcahy, the original director of Rambo 3. And then Peter MacDonald directed Rambo 3. Oh, I have to stop for a minute because I love this exchange here. When this is over, we have to pay Jabba the Hutt here a visit. I'll bring the chainsaw. I'll bring the beer. I just love these exchanges. I love, like, Caruso getting pissed here. Use a chair. Couldn't find a piano. There was also a legal battle between producers Peter Gruber and Jon Peters in Warner Bros. Studio. The producers complained in LA Superior Court that Warner Bros. Had replaced them on the project and over Peters' objections advanced the release date of the film by many months. Went in production on June 1989, scheduled to wrap August 1989. Well, that's the case. Yeah, it would never have got the summer release anyway. In late August, the directors were switched, and after principal photography was finished in September, replacement director Albert Magnoli called everyone back to the set for 2 more weeks of additional reshoots, which included filming a completely new opening sequence. So, okay, maybe that was Albert Magnoli. Filming was finally finished on October 1989, 8 weeks before its original scheduled theatrical opening. The movie was racing to make its December 15th release, but due to the Warner Bros. Studios' complaints on every different cut that was edited before they approved the final version, it barely made the deadline and ended up being shipped to theaters in wet prints. Industry term meaning that it was just barely completed before its release date. I know there was another guy they hired, Stuart Baird, to edit the film. And Stuart Baird, he was, they did that a lot. Who came on the project as editing doctor when studios such as Warner Bros. Were displeased with the first cut. Stuart Baird was also called in by Warner Bros. To re-edit another Stallone film, Demolition Man, later on for the same reasons. Which sucks because Demolition Man, there's a lot of good stuff cut out that we'll never see, like the fight between Stallone and Jesse Ventura and all the stuff about John Spartan's daughter in the film, who the character is actually in the film, but they cut all that out for some reason. Apparently some plot points and even some action scenes were deleted from this film. Well, again, probably like in the trailer where we saw Tango was reading the newspaper and then pulls out a shotgun and shoots at her car. I didn't know he was shooting at her car. I know he shot like out the window. Oh yeah, that's what it was. He shot the car window. That's what it was. Okay. But yeah, I mean, that is just an insane making of that. For me, I'm like, the fact that we got this film, to me, is a miracle. But a lot of people don't like the film, so they go, oh, that makes sense. The movie sucks. I'm like, I don't think the movie sucks. I'm sorry. Stallone, Caruso, it moves at a good pace. I mean, we're, how long now? 20 minutes, and it's felt like nothing. And, I mean, in a good way, like, and you have Stallone, his character, the sensible guy. Like I said, it's a different role for Stallone. That's really nice to see. Very different type of role. And for people who say he always plays the same guy, I'm like, no. Rambo is different from Rocky, and they're both different from Ray Tango. And Ray Tango's different from John Spartan. Like, this guy and John Spartan are very different people. One of my favorite parts. Yeah, I guess no. Yeah, I got something to say. Miss Tango has spoken very eloquently. And I wish I could be as forgiving. But I can't. Because this whole thing just fucking sucks. I love the cops behind him's like, yeah. Especially right here. Like, the cops behind him is like, yeah. Like, that guy's like, yeah, fuck yeah. You know, fuck them people. I love that. That's hilarious. That's fantastic, man. I love that. 18 months in a minimum security prison facility. But of course they're not. It's not going to be minimum security. It's not going to be 18 months. They go to the general population. Because they've been paid off. Again, the score really works well too. I think Harold Faltermeyer, everyone always talks about Beverly Hills Cop for a good reason. But this is, I think, easily one of his best scores. I think the whole thing works very well. Fits it like a glove. Again, like, each scene is like, we got, you know, a nice looking, like, oh, look at all these character actors. We got Lopan. We got, you know, Jack Palance. We got Brian James, James Hahn. I don't remember who this other guy is. He looks familiar, though. I feel like I've seen him before, but I can't remember his name. And, you know, people say it's like a spoof. I mean, but I don't know. It's fun. It's entertaining. Oh, but people praise the Fast and Furious movies nowadays. It's okay if they do it. If they fucking fly a goddamn jetpack up their ass. But, oh, Tango Cash. Nothing in this film is crazier than anything in the Fast and Furious movies. Than everything. Sure, the ladies love that. That's why you hear prison board crooked everybody else in the deal. I know these two just work so well. Like, they have such great different personalities. Like, Stallone works in this simmering boil, and Kurt Russell's more the wild, crazy man. It just worked. I can't say it enough, the chemistry these guys have with each other. With your IQ, you're unarmed and still very dangerous. I love when Kurt Russell makes fun of the way Stallone talk. Yeah, you don't know shit. Relax. Soap. Don't flatter yourself, Pee-wee. I don't know you that well. Alright, Minnie Mouse. And again, this movie just goes, it doesn't slow down, and for me, that's a good thing. Well, sometimes that could be too much, to be fair. Sometimes that could be a detriment. I don't think it's the case here, though. I like the fact, you know, it just... Now, I do find it funny that Stallone's character has the cross on him. I don't think they would let you have that, though. Because I think when you get booked, they make you take all that shit off. So he would not have the cross around his neck. The chain. They would have taken that shit off. So. So I wonder if they shot the opening, if that originally had. I loved you, Conan the Barbarian. No, I was saying that maybe when they did the new opening, they found, hey, that guy, Robert Zadar, why don't we put him in the opening? So then, oh, him and Stallone were in a situation before that. So I don't know if that originally was the case, or was it with Stallone with the car thing? Was that where Robert Zadar, was he in that scene too, like the original opening, or did they add Robert Zadar since they know? Well, Robert Zadar is in this later on. Let's add him in the beginning of this new opening. Yeah, again, I don't know. That's why a documentary, interviews, commentary would be fucking nice. Someone who worked on the film, I would gladly do Q&A with you. And Clint Howard. The brother Ron Howard. Mr. Ice Cream Man. I mean, a lot of the scenes, they have some type of personality to them. Like Kurt Russell, there's the big guys, like, that is yours. This here with Clint Howard, like, how nutso he is. Crazy people are afraid of anybody. I mean, just the amount of character actors when you look back. Clint Howard, Michael J. Pollard, Jack Palance, Jeffrey Lewis. Well, that's okay. The Clint Howard's going to do his comeuppance. I mean, that is something that happened quite a bit with Warner Bros., where they would take a film and it would be edited in a certain way. And on the one hand, when that happened, they were very fast-paced, entertaining movies. Demolition Man, Showdown Little Tokyo, this film. And I love them the way they are, but I wish I could see the footage. I wish I could see the deleted scenes. I wish I could see, like, what was on the cutting room floor. What was the idea, like, documentaries, interviews. But we can never get any of that. To care Clint Howard. He was able to get one guy off the rail. But I've also maintained, like, this whole section in the prison is much more entertaining than the entire Escape Plan trilogy. And that all deals with prisons. I'm sorry, you take the first Escape Plan. I know some people liked it. I don't agree. I think we have Arnold and Stallone finally together, starring opposite each other, and you get a movie that couldn't even lit the taint of this movie. Just the prison section of this movie. The action, the look, the tone, the villains, everything. Sorry, now I'm just watching the film. Don't panic. I don't want to be killed by this slimy immigrant jerk-off. I want to be killed by an American jerk-off. Again, just the energy involved with everybody in this. Going gusto. That's why I think it's like this, almost the perfect movie to end the decade of the 1980s. And that's what I mean. To the people that make fun of the film and talk shit about the film, some of them are the same guys that then go, oh, the 80s are awesome and cool, and they're the type that, hey, I want to do what the honors of the 1980s, but then they don't know what makes an 80s film work. Must mean you. Light now, light now. Before rush hour, 2 people hitting a guy at the same time. There you go. Another fun fight scene. Each one the other moments. Just beating the fuck out of everybody. Nice baseball slide there. Boom. Nut punch. Baseball bat fun. Casey Jones style. Kurt Russell would make a great Casey Jones. Hell yeah. Nice. Bam. See, that's a like good use of slow-mo. Boom, they get that impact. And the sound effects too of the punches. Sound effects really work well with that. Don't panic. And this is a very, well, I guess it's not, I was going to say unique, but technically they kind of did this to Martin Riggs and Lethal Weapon. Not the exact same way, but the fact that, you know, the person's tied up and being shot and fried. But I was talking about the 1980s. The thing with the 1980s is that so many people nowadays, they want to make a film that's like the 80s. They want to give a nod to the 80s. They want to be a retro back to the 80s. But so many of them do not understand what makes an 80s film, because they're either winking at the camera too much, or they think it's all a joke. They think these films are corny and cheesy. So they try to be bigger in their performances. And, well, we can't take this too seriously. But these, even though the trivia says it was meant as a spoof, Kurt Russell's not acting like it's a spoof. You know, he looks like he's being shot to shit. Stallone worried about it. Like, what the fuck is this going on? The score is serious. Like, these two are going through some shit. I think this was like, fuck you. This is all done serious. And, you know, when I don't get why people laugh at this or make fun. I just don't get it at all. And honestly, I think that's why so many movies that try to be the 80s fail. Because they don't get it, and they truly don't like the 80s. I think a lot of people, not all, but a lot of people, they say they like the 80s because it's the new fad. And it's going to run out, and then they'll go on to something else. But they say they love the 80s and the music and all this, but then they really don't, because you think it's corny and cheesy and blah, 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 blah. But this one, I'm burned out. Again, the chemistry in these worked so well. Maybe he has a boring nightlife. Again, you had two guys at the top of their game playing off each other extremely well, and a zippy, fast-paced movie that doesn't stop too long to take a breath, littered with great character actors, like I said, from Jack Palance to later Michael J. Pollard to Mr. Jeffrey Lewis to Brian James and all this stuff. You get an assortment of the beginning action scenes. You had a cool standoff. You had a fun car chase through a garage. You had fisticuffs there. We got a escape sequence. We got, to me, a lot of sincerely funny humor. A great score by Harold Faltermeyer, and big action set piece at the end. And maybe it's the ending that people say is so goofy, but again, not a single part of that is goofier than any of the Fast and Furious movies. And I liked some of the Fast and Furious movies. Don't get me wrong, I like some of the Fast and Furious movies, but it seems like a lot of critics give them the pass. Godzilla vs. Kong. All the insanely stupid shit in that movie. I'm sorry. There's a lot of insane stupid shit in that movie. Godzilla takes a breath, goes all the way fucking down to the middle of the fucking earth, inner earth, and King Kong climbs up in 10 seconds. Or I'm sorry, like 2 minutes. King Kong somehow to climb half the fucking earth in 2 minutes. All the other shit. And then that gets the pass by critics. But this is so awful. I don't understand it. You tell me there's not stupid shit in Zack Snyder's Justice League? Can't even say it right? Because I just don't... I don't respect it to say it right. Zack Snyder's Justice League, you got a bunch of fucking women, hallelujah, while a fish boy goes to the fucking water, and a woman picks up his dirty, BO-infested sweater and huffs it like it's huffing the guy's underwear. But that's art and a masterpiece. But this is crap. Give me a fucking break. If you like those films, that's fine. That's not me dogging on you for liking those films. But for people to sit there and tell me that those films are so masterpieces, but then this is so awful, I don't have to agree one bit about that. I'm sorry. Just being blunt and honest about it. You don't have to agree. Just being blunt and honest about it. Again, all the past, the Fast and Furious films and Godzilla vs. Kong and Zack Snyder's Justice League gets. But why do I like this film over those? Well, I like some of the Fast and Furious movies, but Godzilla vs. Kong and Justice League, this film is fun. It has characters I like. I liked Kurt Russell's character. I liked Sylvester Stallone's character. All the elements I talked about that I enjoy. It's not boring. It's not Zack Snyder, oh, I had to take over 4 hours to tell a boring story. Or Godzilla vs. Kong, where I don't give a shit about a single fucking character except maybe King Kong. Here I actually liked the characters. God fucking forbid. But that's all subjective, that's all a matter of opinion. And I can only share my opinion. Who else's opinion am I going to share? It's not my job to share someone else's opinion. But that's just me. People don't have to agree. It's not your job to agree with me. Just give my opinion. Sorry, I went on that tangent. But again, it just, like, this film here is bare bones, nothing to it, no features, no deleted scenes, no interviews, no commentaries, nothing. How cool would it be? Get Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell to talk about the film, talk about the ups and downs of the film, talk about the struggles of the film. Sit down, do a watch-along for a charity. hey, we're going to watch the film comment with a group of fans and it's for charity. And feel free to ask questions. There you go. Do that, man. This is where he finds his buddy's been killed. Those are really strong doors. I'll say that. They're bulletproof. And what? That looks like it's made of, well, it looks like it's made of wood. But those are pretty strong. Again, they took all those shotgun shells. Maybe it's made of metal. I don't know. Is it made of... I don't know. But I do like this bit with the fans. Reminds me a little bit of what Stallone would later do in Daylight. I actually don't mind the way it's edited either. I had no issues with the editing with the film. And they're still on. I can't hold it all day. There you go. I like the production design of the prison as well. I like all the wet and all the water they had to put in there, the droplets because it's raining out. I like the decision that it takes place in the rain, so it gives it a different visual look instead of just a plain, regular night. So, and that's not easy to have the rain keep pouring over and over again. Did you get your ass out of my face and get there? Yeah, this part is more exciting prison part than anything in Escape Plan. I'm sorry. Just my opinion. And that's one of the... I think I said that when I first ranted on Escape Plan. I'm like, I saw this done better in Tango Cash. And it's only a part of the film. It's not the main film. I mean, it's not all the... It's part of the film. The right amount of time. Exciting. Still has action in it. And the rapport and the humor and even the way it's filmed. Like, right there, the angles used and as they're dropping slow motion to another piece of the rooftop. Again, it's a good usage of slow motion. Yes, there are movies that have a ton of slow motion and used well. This movie is an example of that. But there are movies that overdo it, especially if they're 4 hours long, like Zack Snyder's Justice League. But this, it doesn't overuse the slow motion. It's used at certain points. I like, and they set up the electricity, which will come about later on. When, in the fight with Robin Zadar. Again, that's a cool shot, like that wide shot showing all the big power lines and the woods nearby and... Woofra! Now, I'll be honest, I'm too dumb enough. I don't know if this is actually real or bullshit. Like, if you would get electrocuted or not. You still owe me. If I don't make it, will you even try? Depends how far you get. I think I like the way this is shot. With all the rain, and it looks good on Blu-ray as well. I thought it's a good decision they did all in the rain, because that's just right there, that's even more of a visually dynamic shot. Could you imagine if this was just done on a plane? Yeah, it would still look nice if it was just a plain night, but the fact they had all the rain going, and done for real. Because nowadays it'd probably just be fucking digital rain. CGI rain. And like the nice wide shots showing a real stuntman going down that. I like this little battle here. Nice stunt here too. Probably to a pad underneath. Now it's not like a fisticuff fight, but interesting bit of like being dragged around, and it made at least a little bit of a different type of battle. There you go, you asshole. Now see, if he didn't grab those wires, he probably would have been fine. Like, if he literally just fell up on his back, he probably would have been fine, but... There goes Rob Zadar. There you go, nice use of slow-mo yet again. Again, the rain brings a better dynamic to the scene. Just looks visually... Look at that, that looks really... Nice job with the wide shots too. Real people. And see, that was a good idea to have a person, a guard in the forefront pass by, and then you see the person. So that way, in your mind, you're going, okay, that's not a model. That's a real person going down, and like, can't get more real than real. I hate Danish. I wonder if that was a shot at Brigitte Nielsen, which they had split pretty badly the year before, in '88. Now, like Sylvester Stallone, of course, my username Rambo Raph is Rambo, John Rambo, and Raphael from the Ninja Turtles, because I love both those characters a lot. And Sylvester Stallone, I've said, is my favorite actor, action star. But that doesn't mean I want to kiss his ass on everything. But when I looked at the past 10 years, I'm sorry, estate plan films are nothing compared to these type of movies. Nothing. Arnold, Stallone being old in a prison and doing not much of anything. Can someone point to one action scene worth electing that? I'm sorry, I can't. I really can't. Estate Plan 2 and 3 are considered some of the worst Stallone films for a reason. Because they're bottom of the barrel fucking garbage. But going back to Stallone films, I love a lot of the Rocky films. I love the first 4 Rambo films. I love Cobra. I love Demolition Man. I love Cliffhanger. I like ICU, also known as Detox. I like Lock Up. I like Copland. And I like this movie. There's Michael J. Pollard. Michael J. Pollard is a character actor. He was in I Come in Peace, film I mentioned earlier. He was also in Scrooged. He was in Sleepaway Camp, I believe 3. Yeah, I believe he was Sleepaway Camp 3. Again, a character actor you saw quite a bit. I think he was in The Devil's Rejects, I believe. Could be wrong. But I like the fact, like, this is sort of Almost like a blue-collar version of Q from James Bond. All these different, like, devices. And how serendipity was that the fucking, the feather, the fuzz landed right on top of Carosso's head. I just landed perfectly on his head. And then fell off when he moved. And of course, it's kind of hinted that Michael J. Pollard and Carosso's characters are brothers, which I actually think that's kind of neat. You look terribly anemic. I think you need a little bit of iron, and you die. Now, again, one of the little nitpicks of the film is there is a very obvious double on Stallone. A very obvious double when he jumps out of the way of the bomb, the explosion. It's clearly not Sylvester Stallone. Not just because it's a Blu-ray I know that, but even on the DVD I know that's not Stallone. I'm like, who's that guy? So I think they should have shot at a different angle. If you don't see the person's face, like you should have had the face down to do it. Like the arms like this or something. Like right here. Who's that guy? That's not Stallone. Oh, there's Stallone. See, that was the mistake. Is number one, they shoot it in slow motion. They shot that in slow motion. So when you're doing this, you could clearly see the face. It should have been like this if you don't shoot like this. Like him covering like this. That would have hit a lot better than just... Or do it not in slow motion. Do it quick. That would have been better as well. But the fact that they shot in slow motion and you didn't have the guy cover his face. I don't know who did that. That was a complete another fuck up in my opinion. I don't know. Now this is Michael Jeter. He was in the Green Mile. He had the little mouse in the Green Mile. He was on the... I think the TV show Evening Shade with Burt Reynolds. He's been in quite a few other films as well. It's also kind of cool to see all the old school technology of the time. Yeah, back in the day, this is what we used. Now it would be all in one laptop computer. Chuck the equipment like this? What do you mean? Like, we're already an hour and 3 minutes in and got 40 minutes left. That's not including the end credits. The end credits, let's say 5 minutes. So that's 35 minutes left of the movie. Steal this guy's shirt. They tell him, where the fuck my shirt at? Hey, yo, Italian style, you stole my shirt. Was it Burt Reynolds? No, it's not Burt Reynolds. Of course, this is where Stallone's sister, played by Teri Hatcher. Now, Teri Hatcher, she was on the TV show Lois and Clark. She's been in a few other stuff as well. She was in Tomorrow Never Dies, a James Bond film. She was in, with Andrew Dice Clay, this film called Brain Smasher, A Love Story, which was a disappointing film because it was a PG-13 Andrew Dice Clay flick where it tried to be, that did try to be goofy. Like, that's a film I could say tried to be a spoof, tried to be a parody. I don't think worked. But one that did was Andrew Dice Clay's The Adventures of Ford Fairlane, which I thought was hilarious and very underrated. I love The Adventures of Ford Fairlane. I think that's a hilarious film. But I fucking love Ford Fairlane. You got the shave when you leave out with that outfit. I don't mean your legs. I mean, hey, get to see Teri Hatcher dancing, pretty hot. Oh, yeah, I was talking about Sylvester Stallone. I mean, you know, Rocky, Cobra, Nighthawks. I like Daylight. Yeah, I like quite a few of his films. I think ICU is underrated. Same with Daylight. But after this, when he got into the 90s, he tried to do comedy. I mean, in the 90s, it didn't work out best for him at first. Because he did Rocky 5, he did Oscar, he did Stop Where My Mom Will Shoot. None of those really did well. Until he did Cliffhanger. And then that was like, oh, kick-ass movie. Demolition Man I love. I don't know if it did that well, though. Maybe for Warner Bros. They were fine with it DVD, VHS, worldwide, but yeah, I love Demolition Man. It's one of my favorites. And then that's when you had The Specialist, which was, it's alright. Did alright business. And then you have films like Judge Dredd, which did not do well, and honestly wasn't that good of a movie in my opinion. Then you had Assassins, which was okay. Kind of like The Specialist, it was okay. But The Assassins did not do well. And then you had Daylight, which I think Daylight is underrated. Did not do well in the U.S. especially. Didn't do well in the U.S. I did worldwide, maybe it did, but not in the U.S. So that's when Stallone's like, I gotta do something different. He did Copland. Copland is great. It made its money back, but it wasn't a big box office hit. Made like $40 million in the U.S. And Stallone has said, while he enjoyed making the film, that it hurt his career. Ooh, bunch of titties here. Titties. I appreciate it. Thank you. But Stallone said while he liked making the film that it hurt his career. I guess because people thought, okay, he's not the action guy, and he tried to do his Oscar film and it didn't work. As in, or maybe this is a film that would get awards. But I thought Copland deserved it, but it didn't get it, which sucks. But I'll talk about that later. Because that's another commentary that Ben requested, Copland. And then after Copland, just things were now working well. He did ICU, which I think is underrated, but it went straight to video. Because Universal didn't believe in it. I love the film. This is one aspect I don't think you needed. I don't think you needed this aspect in the film. This is where I could see the spoof parody aspect. I never cared for this bit where Caruso's in drag and to get by the cops. But I didn't understand the reason for this. Well, I'm guessing it was stuff like this where the original director had issues with the producers. And Caruso was game for it. I mean, thankfully it's a short scene. But I never really understood, I don't think you really needed it there. Just my opinion. But it doesn't last that long. So there you go. I do like the idea, though, is that she's massaging his sores, but when Stallone comes about, he thinks it's something, the Humpty Hump, and clear, misunderstanding. Did you bump uglies with my sister? Did you bump uglies with my sister? I was so drunk, I don't remember. Cash, I'm gonna kill you. But I guess I didn't mention about Kurt Russell. Like, Kurt Russell, like I said, he was a Disney kid. I think he was in an Elvis film when he was a kid. And like I said, he's a Disney kid, was in a lot of, like, the computer that wore tennis shoes and all that stuff. And then growing up to his teens, people didn't really take him seriously because, oh, well, you were in these goofy movies. Well, did Elvis the TV movie, directed by John Carpenter. And then a few years later, you had Escape from New York, and like I mentioned, people wanted Charles Bronson. John Carpenter said, no, I worked with this guy on Elvis, cast him, and I think that really changed the game for... I think that has become Kurt Russell's favorite character, Snake Plissken. And that led to John Carpenter's The Thing. Sally didn't do well, but it's a fantastic movie. Big Trouble in Little China, once again, fantastic movie. Didn't do well, though. And Kurt Russell would do these things like dramas, Silkwood, I believe. There's no talk about, like, what the fuck is going on? But I'm gonna hammer right through the fucking lawn. It's my roof. I let you dwell here. But yeah, I was mentioning Kurt Russell. He was doing films, and even though they were good, like The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China, they were not doing well at all at the box office. And I think Kurt Russell himself admitted at one point, it seemed like he was box office poison, other than Escape from New York. It wasn't until, like, Tequila Sunrise, which is funny, because this film no one mentions, ever. Because to me, I don't think it's that good of a movie. And I like Mel Gibson, I like Kurt Russell, but Tequila Sunrise, I think, it's pretty fucking lame and boring, honestly. But that did well at the box office. Granted, it's a film no one fucking remembers, but it did well at the box office. And then, oh, this made money, so Kurt Russell then did this, and it made some money. And then going to the 90s, you had films like Backdraft. You had films like Stargate. You had films of that nature going about. Then, you know, later on, films like Breakdown and Soldier and, you know, Escape from L.A. Some were more successful than others. But yeah, you definitely saw Kurt Russell do a bit more work in the 90s. Sorry, now I'm just getting lost watching the film. But yeah, it just, that's the thing with Stallone, though, is that a lot of the films of the 80s, it's like, if it wasn't Rocky and if it wasn't Rambo, he could not find a tremendous amount of success. Like, Cobra did okay. This film did okay, but they were not on the level of Rambo 2 or Rocky 4, so then they're labeled as disappointments, or some people label them as bombs, but they did make some money. It just wasn't a lot of money, and it wasn't what the studio wanted. I mean, obviously Warner Brothers kept working with Stallone because, they released this film. Stallone by this point had done Over the Top. He had done a Cobra, also with Warner Brothers, so they must have been like, okay, we'll keep working with this guy. But yeah, it's one of those things where, I like a lot of those movies, and it's just a fucking shame a lot of them didn't do better than I think they should have. Like, Lockup was a complete bomb, and I don't think it deserved it. Like, Daylight was, it might have made money overseas, but it was a bomb and didn't deserve it. Just my opinion. But you can get back to this. Again, it would be interesting to see like what the original cut of the film would have been, but you can't even do that because even if you found all the footage, the director was fired, wasn't able to finish what he wanted anyway. So what his ending would have been and what his beginning would have been, I don't know for certain. I don't know for sure. And the people who do know, they don't want to talk because no one wants to talk about the movie. Because they either don't like the film, they're not proud of the film, they think the film sucks, or something to that effect. And that's why nowadays I don't even look forward to features on movies anymore, because either there's going to be a letdown, or they're not going to say much, or they're just going to shit on the movie. And it's like, well, what the hell am I really looking forward to then on that stuff? He says Plan A's a loser. And there's another like fun sequence here. Plan A's a loser. You have Plan B? Hiroshima, ring the bell? Again, this is a great acting moment for Stallone where they get to kind of switch sides, where Stallone gets to just have fun and just take a little bit of a crazy train. And just cool to see Stallone again have fun with the role. I want the whole package. I love Stallone's look here. He's a you would get sticky. Get back, Jack. No. Like, what was he doing? The Jaws theme or something? I mean, just being a fan of Stallone, did to see him. Don't forget the ride. You really do look like shit in a ponytail. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, baby. Bye-bye, birdie. Oh, yeah, where's the governor? Bad cop, worst cop. Did you sleep with my sister? Did you bump uglies with my sister? again, no matter what people want to, like, these two work exceptionally well together. And also that's nice. That's because that'll be a callback to later on. You set up the whole grenade bit, and then you pay off later. Where this time it's not a dud. And we have this cool fucking car. I don't know the name. Double armored, bulletproof glazing, 120 millimeter cannon on the driver's side, torch splitting. See, this would be normal in a Fast and Furious film, but you know, this RV from hell. And this looks more realistic than, you know, people creaming their pants in Fast 9 trailer. Oh my god, it's a car and they're going to space. Speaking of Fast and Furious, there, nitrous oxide. I think this is where he asks, you know, is he family? Well, he's okay. They mention his family, not that, you know, is he a brother or not? That's up. You know, he could be a cousin, could be a brother. I just imagine that he's like a brother. Well, I guess he'd be a bit too old for the brother. But I don't know how old. Michael J. Pollard has always looked old, no matter what. So I don't know how old he really was at this time. I always thought this was a nice little moment before battle. They talked a little bit before that. I would love to have seen a sequel, a franchise of this. Like, you got Lethal Weapon, that got 4 movies. Bad Boys got 3 movies. But I would love to have seen a sequel to Tango Cash. Like, if this was 89, like 91. But again, the movie in the U.S., I don't think cracked 50 million in the U.S. Well, maybe it was like 54 million, maybe. Maybe it did, but it, you know, it wasn't like $100 million blockbuster, which the studio wanted. And yeah, it made 120 million worldwide, but studio wanted that in the U.S. alone. And they didn't, at the time, people didn't like it. Critics hated it. Got bad word of mouth. I don't understand it. I guess I kind of want to look what it gets on IMDb. I'm going to use the phone so that I don't fuck up anything on the computer to slow down the webcam. As these guys go into battle with the RV from hell. And I guess this is the thing that the director Konchalovsky did not want to do, this whole thing with this car, this vehicle. Which, I mean, I do wonder what the original ending would have been. But at the same time, like, would it be just a tip? Like, I do love this over-the-top ending. Where it's just... just fucking going insane with... fucking compound of bad guys and just... Now, I will say, though, to be fair, to be a little bit fair, it's mainly them being chased and kind of just the bad guys fucking themselves up. Like, okay, these cars got blown up. Tango and Cash didn't really do anything. They're just driving, and these people are fucking stupid and shot their own people. So, again, cool to see the explosions. But yeah, it's more like... But this does look pretty fucking cool right here. Like, that's a great shot. That was, the trailer moment. 6.49 to be. 30% Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, 6.49 to be. That's a bit higher than I thought it would be. But here we go with that machine gun fun. There we go. Fucked up people left and right. Sadly, nothing that gory. Because for what I understand, I didn't read up on trivia that the MPAA was mad about Cobra. That's one of the reasons why they cut that film heavily, as well as to get a shorter running time. And so not to worry about that again, they're like, yeah, don't have the film too gory at all. So that's why you don't really see a lot of like big blood squibs in this. Like a lot of 80s films, squibs, you don't really see that in this. Which is funny, because look what happened in Total Recall. Look at the big fucking squibs in Total Recall, but... Which is great, but I'm like... But yeah, people have a problem. But look at all this crazy, like, all these fucking vehicles, like, monster trucks, it looks like, and... Like, this guy, that's really, like, big. Boom. Shoot the guy driving the construction vehicle, fall off. Why is your bigger than mine? Genetics? Pee-wee? But, I mean, this is, our comic book movies, our comic book superhero films. But now, you like... Again, to all the people that make fun of this, you think Iron Man is realistic? Oh, Tony Stark built a fucking weapon that can fly around and do all this shit, but, like, Iron Man is more realistic. You get what I mean? Like, Iron Man is so much more realistic. The Incredible Hulk and Thor are so much more realistic than this. Okay. And I like those movies, but I mean, just the... If you're wondering why I'm looking down, it's funny. Back in September 2019... Apparently Stallone had this comment. I would do Tango Cash in a second. I know with Kurt, it's not about a caper, it's just us doing our thing. But Russell said, I don't know, Sly. There we were in our prime, and now we're in our unprime. I don't know. So I said, Kurt, I'm telling you, you gotta go in on this. So he said, I'll talk to you when I get back. Obviously that didn't happen, but I get what Kurt Russell was saying. Because this is 2019. Like, in 2019, I can't disagree with Kurt Russell. There's that part of me that, yeah, I would be curious about because I fucking love Tango Cash. I mean, look at all this crazy, big, over the top, like just. I don't know where all the bad guys are at. You would think at least 1 or 2 or 5 bad guys would be in here with all these weapons. You would think. At least have like 10, 15. There's a couple because they do shoot a couple, but like, where were they? I guess now they pop up. But yeah, you see those quick jump cuts? It's so that you don't last too long on the squibs. Yeah, you see that guy got shot. It was like 3 jump cuts. Yeah, you could tell. You do see blood fly out, but you could tell like it's very jump cut. Because again, I guess they're worried about the MPAA. But I mean, hell, I saw more blood in there than some of the fucking Hatcher films today, so there you go. I think, what was it? When James Hahn gets killed, like, you did see, that does make sense when I read that I've still enjoyed, I'm still entertained by it, but you tell it's a little bit jump cut heavy compared to other 80s films. But it feels natural compared to fucking films nowadays. Now, what kind of guns are these? Like, they're machine guns, but they seem pretty fucking heavy duty, which is cool. But I like the look of these guns. Like, what kind of... There we go. Well, okay, that's not too jump cut heavy. But yeah, James Hahn got fucking annihilated. That's what I mean, like, these are big, heavy guns, and also the sound effects and the oh, fuck, I know the term. The light coming out of the muzzle of the gun, all effective and showcasing, like, the power of these guns. Again, the sound effects, the muzzle flares. That's what it is, the muzzle flares. And you do see some squibs, to be fair. So it's not like there's none. So it's nice to have some. Because there's so many films nowadays that are either none. And that's one of my complaints. I love the John Wick films. One of my few complaints is stop with the CGI blood. Get some practical squibs. Stop with the CGI blood, please. But they're not going to listen. I just find it funny that, you know, did J Palance take the time to draw Boom with crayon? Like, who drew that Boom with crayon? And when did they take the time to do it? Just shoot him in the head. She'll be fine. But I mean, to me, this is a film where you get your money's worth. I mean, look at the finale. You got this big monster mash of cars, explosions, gunfire. You got these big fucking vehicles, construction vehicles trying to run you down. We got shooting, you know, killing some bad guys. Squibs. Now we got going to have some fisticuffs here. I'm trying to remember, like, who is this guy, this martial arts guy? Some pretty good moves from Stallone. Nice blocks and almost like a punch that looks like a scratch on the face. And even though these are two fights going on at the same time, they did a decent enough job editing back to the two, so it doesn't seem confusing. Oh yeah! Nice throat chop. You think it's a dud? I don't know if that was Stallone doing the sidekick. Because like Rambo does a kick in Rambo 3, but I don't think it's Rambo. I mean, I don't think it's Stallone. Which I know a guy on YouTube said, oh, Stallone did that kick. I'm sorry to the interviewer. It's like Viking Samurai's the interviewer. The guy was pulling your leg. Because you watch Rambo 3, that is not Stallone doing that kick. That sort of Van Damme. It's a cool kick. But the way they edit it to hide his face, and it's like a different body type. Stallone has never done kicks like that. That wasn't Stallone doing that. But hey, he couldn't do it. He got someone else to do it. But I don't know why the guy lied to the interviewer. Like, lied to the Viking Samurai. He's a YouTuber. The guy who, oh, I showed Stallone how to do this. He lied to you. Then I noticed, oh, he's got a book coming out. That's probably why. But that was a cool idea to have both shoot, boom, both hit Jack Palance. And then they both have different reasons to how they noticed. But I mean, like I said, this is a perfect way to end the 80s. You didn't... Gunfights, squibs, battles, fisticuffs, and now a big old explosion with a countdown. Like, boom! Like, ended with a bang. But I just see why Stallone... I mean... See, that's the thing, though. Okay. Stallone, he wants to do Tango Cash 2. A few months ago, he said, I want to do Demolition Man 2. It's a guy that... I love Stallone, but this guy's like... I hate to say it, but it's like he's in this crisis where he thinks doing these things from the past is his way of staying relevant. I'm going to do a director's cut Rocky 4. I don't know, man. But I love this moment. Bam. Like, that is the perfect last image for the 80s. Andrei Konchalovsky. Well, he kind of directed it. Randy Feldman kind of wrote it. Peter MacDonald, yeah. Executive producer. Larry Franco, who worked with John Carpenter a few times, and I think at one point was related to Kurt Russell, like in in-law capacity, like brother-in-law, I think. Stuart Baird, who actually gone to be a director. He directed, I think, U.S. Marshals, and I think one of the Star Trek Nemesis or something. Harold Faltermeyer, great composer. I mentioned, Fletch, Beverly Hills Cop. But I love this film to death. I'll sit here for the credits, but I love this film. Yes, this teeny nitpicks I have, like the obvious stunt double in that one scene, but Sylvester Stallone and Kurt Russell make this film work exceptionally. The great chemistry, the back and forth, the humor. I was laughing. I've seen this film countless times. I was still laughing my butt off. And all these other actors did their jobs well. J Palance, Teri Hatcher, J Pollard, Jeffrey Lewis, Brian James. Rest in peace to some, you know, Brian James, Jack Palance, and others. Jeffrey Lewis passed away. James Hahn did a good job. Robert Zadar, may rest in peace. But yeah, the music, the action, the humor. Louis Arquette, that was that one guy. The father of David Arquette. Okay. And Rosanna Arquette and Patricia Arquette. I think he was the guy that got killed by the car bomb. And then you had... Wait, that's not Stallone. But yeah, the guy who got killed with the car bomb in the garage. That was Louis Arquette. Again, the father of David Arquette and Patricia Rosanna Arquette. Louis Arquette was also in... I think he was the sheriff in the first Scream movie. But yeah, I think this is an entertaining, fun time at the movies. And it gives you bang for your buck. You know, great opening, fun ending, and two guys having great chemistry with each other, fun back and forth, still get a lot of chuckles out of it. No, the plot is not the most original. But how many buddy cop films really have an original plot? If you really think about it. You know, most buddy cop films you say have a plot you've seen done on TV shows, let alone other movies. It's, again, the chemistry between the two leads, the humor, the action, like all the stuff mixed together. How well does that? And again, if half that stuff from Wikipedia and IMDb, if half of it is true, it's amazing they got a movie together. And I think they did a pretty damn good job. That's just me. Again, would have been cool to see Jack Palance with Stallone, Kurt Russell, like in the same scene, back and forth, talking, arguing, whatever. Philip Tan. That might have been the guy from Bloodsport 2 I saw recently. Don't quote me on it. Clint Howard. There you go. Mentioned him. Just looking at the credits. People I might have missed. Shabba-Doo? Dancer Shabba-Doo? Is that Shabba-Doo from Brighton? From Brighton Doo? Dancer with Shabba-Doo. Interesting. I didn't know Shabba-Doo was in this, huh? Stunts. Jeff Imada worked with Big Trouble in Little China, you know, John Carpenter, Jeff Imada. I was seeing if Kane Hodder was there. Best of What I Got, Bad English. Fun song to end the movie with. But yeah, you could technically say this was the last film in the 1980s, and what a way to go out. What a way to go out. So, with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. This has always been a favorite of mine. It still will be a favorite of mine. So, we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.